This is the Cupra Born 58 e-Boost, the cooler sibling or cousin to the Volkswagen ID.3. And this video is about testing the most important aspect of this car. So real consumption and range, how far can you really go in these conditions? Acceleration, so 0 to 100, 0 to 60. Cabin noise, how noisy is it really inside the cabin compared to other cars? So all very important aspects if you are into the market of a fully electric vehicle, or especially the Cupra Born. Welcome everyone, you are watching It's Only Electric. This is the channel where we review only fully electric vehicles. What exactly does e-Boost stand for? e-Boost is an add-on, an extra package you pay to get some extra equipment on top of the standard equipment. One thing is bigger rims, 19-inch rims instead of 18 to 15, 50 all around. Goodyear Ultra Grip summer tires in this case. Also gives you slightly bigger brake discs here at the front for more braking power to companion the extra horsepower. When it comes to horsepower, instead of 204, this one has 231, so 27 horsepower extra, 170 kilowatts total output, 310 newton meters of torque. It is also quicker and can sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.6 seconds instead of 7.5. Top speed, 160 kilometers per hour. Charge port placed at the rear right side of the car. DC charging, fast charging, up to 120 kilowatts of a peak speed, 10 to 80% in 35 minutes. When it comes to home charging, AC charging, three-phase support, 11 kilowatts. It is a small hatch, as I said, measuring 4.3 meters in total length, weighs in just under 2 tons. I think it's 1,950 kilograms, and that's for the small battery pack that this one has. Gross capacity, 62 kilowatt hours, net capacity, 58. Translates into a full range of 419 WLTP kilometers. That's for the 19-inch wheels though, that this one has. If you go for the standard version, 204 horsepower and 18-inch rims, you will have slightly more range. Drive unit is placed on the rear axle, so this is a rear-wheel drive car. Let's start with the testing. First out, range and consumption test. This is the first stretch of the range and consumption test. Let me just explain the concept. It's a 80 kilometers long test cycle. Always drive the same stretch of roads, the same speeds. So average speed is 93 kilometers per hour, speeds between 50 all the way up to 110 kilometers per hour. So this is a mix. And what I do, I always stay to a certain set of rules to be able to get a comparable result. And rule number one is to set the drive mode to eco. In this case, it's not called eco, it is called range. And that's the most efficient way of driving this car. That also sets the air conditioning to eco. Rule number two is to set the cabin temperature to 20 degrees and auto. So climate system, climate controls is active and running. The last rule is to always stick to the actual speed limits. In this case, it's 80 for the moment, trying to stick to them as precise as possible. So let's look into the consumption. Current consumption, 17.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and that's after driving 27 kilometers. So there is a good way to go, but 17.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I expect a bit of a lower consumption, but let's see about that. Still dry roads, 10 degrees Celsius outside, so good conditions for a good range today. Hitting the halfway, almost 40 kilometers past. Average consumption until now, 16.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So almost down to 16, so still going downwards, and let's see about the end result. All in all, this is a car that's, I mean, it's the same car as the ID.3. I have that one with the big battery pack. And when it comes to all other details, I mean, the soundproofing, the driving dynamics, it is exactly on par with the Volkswagen. I don't feel any difference. The noise levels also feels the same, but I'm gonna measure that just after this to see how it actually compares. But otherwise, a nice car to drive. It is a decent hatchback. I mean, you have the practical aspects, a decent boot space, The cabin is really nice. The size of the cabin, especially the back seat, is really good for such a small car. The interior space is great. So a good package from Volkswagen, or in this case from Seat or Cupra. A lot of names under the same umbrella. I guess that's Volkswagen's old strategy to be able to take bigger parts of the market. But this Cupra is apparently, I mean, obviously more leaning towards a younger audience, and they are keeping more of a sportier profile. That's also why you get 27 extra horsepower. But regards to sportiness, this one doesn't have the active suspension. This is the DCC suspension. You feel that it is a bit lighter than the bigger battery pack, but it's still not a light car. I mean, just under 2 tons. You feel that weight when driving the car. When it comes to the exterior and the design of the car, I actually prefer the Cupra Born over the Volkswagen ID.3. Even if I have the other one, this one wasn't available back then when I got that car. But I think they have managed a better design on this one. Also goes for the interior. I mean, I think the interior details, some of the materials is actually better than this one than on my old ID.3. But keep in mind that it is updated, the Volkswagen, so the interior has gotten better, a bit more soft touch materials, stitching, etc. So they are actually changing and evolving constantly. But I think this one still keeps up good to that one, or actually above the ID.3. So let's talk about the results. The final consumption for the whole range test ended up at 15.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That equals to a full range for a full battery pack of 367 kilometers. If you compare that to the stated 419 for the WLTP cycle, it's 88% of the stated range, or the certified range. So that's not so far away, but given the conditions, I mean, 10, 11, 12 degrees outside Celsius, totally dry roads, good conditions, no wind at all. This is probably one of the lowest possible consumptions you can get. So don't expect that much more of a range. Tops 370 kilometers. One very interesting fact is that I recently tested the Volkswagen ID.4 Pro version rear-wheel drive with the new powertrain, the more powerful motor, delivering 286 horsepower. That's a lot more than this one, 50 horsepower more. Very interesting though is that one, for the exact same cycle, like 2 degrees hotter outside, got almost a identical consumption. So what does that say about the Cupra Born? It says that the old drivetrain, this drivetrain, is not as efficient as the new one. Very interesting. I know that this is already known and stated by Volkswagen, but it's really a big difference. I mean, the ID.4 is so much bigger. It's heavier, it's bigger, it has higher air resistance, higher CD value. So impressive job from Volkswagen when it comes to making the cars more efficient. Let's move on to the acceleration test. State of charge 91%, 10 degrees Celsius outside, dry mode Cupra, and ready to go.
Zero to 60 miles per hour time 6.29 seconds. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time 6.63 seconds.
Okay, so 6.63 seconds, that's exactly on the specified time. State of charge 91%, second attempt. Go.
0 to 60 miles per hour time 6.01 second. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time 6.38 seconds.
So even better than spec. I'm good with that. Don't need another try. Totally dry roads, no wheel spin whatsoever, so that's fine. That's the result. Best possible time, 6.4 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and 6 seconds flat, 0 to 60 miles per hour. That should be compared to the stated time of 6.6 seconds, so the ID Born actually beats its own specs. That's interesting, that's good, and in this case also 10 degrees, dry roads, so good conditions. You will not be able to get a lower time than that. 6.4 seconds. And finally, the cabin noise test. I won't show you when I drive around measuring the noise. I always place the microphone for measurements in head height of the passenger side, always the same, always driving the same stretch of roads. So the results is here, and I drive it in a couple of different speeds, 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. And this is in the ballpark as I expected it to be. And compared to other cars like the Volkswagen ID.3, it's almost identical. The test I did lately with the 58 kWh pack of the updated ID.3 was a bit more silent, but that may be due to the studless Scandinavian winter tires, because they are very soft and a bit more silent than the summer tires on this one. So it's probably only a tire thing. Other cars that can be compared to this one that's a bit more noisy is the Volvo EX30, like half a decibel in average higher than this one. Also the BYD is a bit more noisy. So that's it. This is a fairly silent car, nothing extreme. I mean, no double pane windows. The insulation is fine. Feels like most of the noise is actually tire noise. Not that much of wind noise or noise coming through the doors, mostly tire noise. So that's it for today. I hope that this video could give you some good information about the Cupra Born 58 e-Boost. And if it did, subscribe, like and engage. Very important aspects to keep me going. And as always, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.